I don't know if it's the same Italy or not. Hi, I'm Italy, and this is me reacting to Access Palace Hetalia episode 23.5 because I've heard about it, and I wanted to see if I could listen to it because I was going to read it, but then I got scared, so I decided to listen to it instead. So I'm gonna put it on. I don't know if it'll start from the beginning though, because I see somebody else watching it. There's the cat in the room, by the way. I think Reese is over. Go away! It needs to load. No! Stop!
Hi everybody, good old Kyo here. I'm not really used to this. Sorry for the nervousness. I'm not really sure about how to go about this. I mean, it's sort of out of the blue, but I want to at least put what happened out there for Hetalia fans like myself. I guess I'll just talk, or whatever, and just get this through. As much of an interesting experience this was, I'd rather not remember it and continue on with my derpy life.
Why wouldn't you want to remember it? And why is the music so scary?
So, this happened a while ago, before school started. But I should probably go back even further to when it really first started. It was when Axis Powers Hetalia was in full swing. Second season was still bounding through the fandom and giving out new glorious episodes every Monday. My older sister and I were both very involved in the series, which was a rare occasion, since she often didn't share interests with me. Oh sure, I would force myself to get into whatever she was getting into so that we could at least have a reason to hang out, but this was the first that she came into my fandom without me working for it. And it was really nice, considering it was still unknown to our small town. It was even nicer to just have someone to relate to.
I don't have many people.
She and I cosplayed it together, watched episodes together, got merchandise together. You know, the whole kit and caboodle. Though she was always able to get more stuff than I was because she had an actual job. But at some point, she actually bought a bootleg DVD of Hetalia so she could be able to watch it at any time.
Why not on the internet?
The picture I provided here, thanks to my mom lending me her camera for a second before she had it sold.
Why couldn't you just watch it on the internet?
Of course, all the episodes just being ripped from the internet sites that had them subbed.
It would be easier to use the internet
with her, but really I was content
instead
with
of getting
online,
stuff
so
from the internet.
About 2 or 3 weeks after she got the DVD, she acted really weird.
How is she
Weird is the best way that I can describe it.
My friend
In a drop of a hat, she dropped the whole Hetalia series, setting aside her merchandise, shelving her Hetalia cosplays, I mean, even selling some of them. When I tried to ask her about what was up, she just said that she didn't want to talk about it, to the point that she'd glare at me if I mentioned it to her. I was extremely disappointed at losing my sister when it came to sibling bonding and the fandom. At the time, just figuring that she grew out of it, or found something even better. That mindset especially fit in when she started to read Homestuck, soon after, to have something to do.
I don't
like the music. Even weirder. Now, it's been a while since then, probably like about a month or so. And I'm not sure why, probably a phone call from my best friend. I got the urge to watch some episodes with just some classic, good old Italy. Though, currently, the internet was being worked on by my father, since he was changing phone providers and all that mess, so I decided to look for that Hetalia DVD that my sister had. It took me a long while, but I found it shoved to the back of the DVD cabinet.
Why would it be there?
I'm not sure why she shoved it back there. That is, at the time.
What do you know now?
The bootleg wasn't that bad, really. It had fan art of everyone as a chibi around the world, with the title on the top. Same for the disc. It's just printed fan art. I popped the DVD into the player in my room and decided to look through the episodes to find a really fun one. And as I went through the episode choice option, though, I found something really weird in between episodes 23 and 24. Oh, for those that don't know, it's the Liechtenstein and Switzerland episodes. Very cute indeed, and the 24th has the conclusion of the Axis on an island.
I remember the island
thing. But there was another square choice, like an episode. But there really wasn't a title next to it saying what number it was or what the episode was about. So it wasn't that it was untitled that caught my interest, but the screenshot of it. It was Italy smiling, looking upward in a content gaze, and his eyes actually opened, mind you, with
my eyes are always
glistening
open.
eyes and what looked like sand, like perhaps he was laying on it. Now this friggin' blew my mind, for this was something new, and I crave for something new in fandoms. I mean, always. Perhaps this was a hidden chapter that I wasn't aware of, like a bonus episode. And I bit my lip and trembled with excitement, and I knew I had this all to myself. Wait until my friends heard about this. I was going to be more knowledgeable than anyone else.
I don't like the music. It's scary.
Of course. When I look back, I wish that I hadn't found it.
I don't remember filming
much
another
ado,
episode.
I clicked the select button on my remote to watch it. A title animation appeared as always, the large orchestra blaring out for a few seconds to show the Japanese katakana of Hetalia, with Axis powers next to it. Soon after, it shifted to the view of the island that the Axis were stranded on. Japan and Germany sitting against the shade of the tree, while Italy just laid in the sand, soaking up sun with that cute, dumb look on his face. Before I go on, I've read stories like this before about lost episodes of cartoons, stories that I didn't believe. Until now, honestly. And I know how they went off about it being an extremely bad quality, but this actually wasn't too bad. I mean, sure, it wasn't the best quality. It was still quite pixely from being ripped from the site and burned into a disc, but it was okay. The sound just a tad muffled. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Of course, this just kind of made it creepier later on when it was able to be seen better, but I'll get to that in a bit, though. Back to the episode. While Italy was sunbathing in his jacket and shorts, the camera cut over to Germany and Japan, though they both looked a tad upset, if not a bit worried. And then they started to speak. Two things threw me off. One, there were no subtitles, so I had zero idea what they were talking about.
Why is...
Two, their voices were actually those who voiced them in the series.
Why are my friends upset?
I was extremely impressed of such raw footage, though. I was a bit miffed there were no subtitles. Oh well. As long as Hiroki Yasumoto of Germany kept talking, I was happy all the way. Well, the two seemed to be chatting about something serious. Germany clutched his stomach from time to time in pain.
Is he hurt?
Japan would nod and set a hand on his stomach as well.
Why is Germany hurt?
Well, my guess was that they'd run out of steady food on the island, so they were starving. That was a downer to start an episode on, but it was only the beginning. There was probably a fun way to get food later on, and just then Italy had called out having two of them look up to where he was, which was now currently running around in the ocean. He waved to them, and the two of them waved back unenthusiastically, before the other went back to just playing in the sun and water. I didn't notice this until then, but the only thing playing in the background was this kind of ocean's waves.
I don't remember.
Something not uncommon, but it certainly kept the atmosphere kind of stoic.
I don't remember.
Especially when the focus was on the hungry and worried nations in the shade. But either way, I was too sucked up in just the beautiful new material, I didn't question it. I didn't even care that I didn't know the bulk of it. I mostly cared for the actions anyway. The nations were quiet for a while before Japan had seemed to ask something, and Germany looked to him in shock, almost exclaiming before being quietly hushed by the island nation, making him whisper the line instead. Was Japan thinking, I thought?
Well, it must not be good if
repeated
Germany
Japanese
doesn't like
statement
it.
in a more quieter and clearer tone, not taking his eyes off of Italy in the water.
Why are they staring at me?
And for a moment, the two of them discussed the issue, obviously talking about the Italian, though soon enough the two of them nodded in agreement.
It's not nice
And
to
at that
talk about
moment,
people
even though
behind
it
their
was
back.
Just for a few seconds, Germany had made the saddest face that I had ever seen.
Why is he sad?
Like he could just burst out into tears at any moment. But he kept it back.
Why is Germany sad?
Honestly, I inwardly flipped my shit at such emotion, even if it was short, though it made me wonder even more what brought it on. Well, the scene changed to nighttime. The three nations huddled around the fire for warmth, though they seemed at least content with their jackets on being near the warmth. As usual, Italy was fast asleep next to it, sleeping contently while leaving the other two nations to their thoughts. Still, only the sound of the ocean crashed against the shore was heard in the background as the two were silent, though soon enough, the camera panned over them, giving each other a subtle nod.
What are they planning? What are they planning and why?
The two stood up, going over to Italy and picking him up very carefully, not wanting to wake him up.
Why are they picking me up?
At this point, I was extremely confused. What were they planning to do to him? I mean, were they going to a new location?
I'm confused.
Quietly, they shuffled the sleeping nation over to the ocean, carefully set him in, face down. Japan setting his hands over the other's head so it kept it below the water's surface. Well, it didn't take long until Italy began to thrash around, bubbles popping furiously in the water next to his head, only having Japan press down harder while Germany was looking away with eyes closed and lips being bitten into hard. While this was going on, my mouth was just hanging ajar. Japan and Germany they were drowning Italy. Why? As I just watched this insanity, I recognized the words, "Gomenasai, Italia," coming from Japan. Sorry, Italy. What the hell? About 15 seconds later, which felt like almost forever watching this poor nation, Italy's limbs went
It went?
limp, with a plop in the water. Bubbles ceased to rise anymore. The deed was done, but why? Japan and Germany picked up the waterlogged Italy and brought him back to shore, placing him down next to the fire.
Why did they
While
kill
Germany sat aside, just staring at the fire as if contemplating what they just did.
You killed?
Japan unsheathed his sword and knelt down next to the corpse, taking off his own jacket and setting it aside. With one more look to the blonde before looking back down, Japan took a deep breath before making an incision from the base of his neck all the way down to his belly button, cutting in a bit more so that he was able to flip the skin back to reveal the bloody organs of the once living nation. At this, I had to pause the episode, feeling quite lightheaded. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I read and I look at gory Hetalia stuff, but seeing it done in the Studio Dean style and done in official voices, if it's fake, it's a really good artist and a very good sound-alike. It was just way too surreal for me. And while I had the TV paused, I had a good chance to look at Italy's insides. That sounds so weird. And they looked so real. Not that they were hyper-camped, but as if the artist had stared at the inside anatomy of a person for hours, drawing every little curve to make it realistic. I wanted to stop watching. I wanted to just turn it off and abandon that TV with the DVD inside, but I was already too far in. I had to see this through to the end. It would haunt me for the rest of my life if I stopped here.
It will haunt me for the rest of my life because I'm dead.
Drinking some water. I pressed play on the remote and resumed the madness. And instantly I was greeted with a slurp sound of Japan sliding his hands into Italy's body, pulling out one of the organs.
That's just gross.
Like the liver. It's so detailed. It's hard not to mistake the organs. Japan sighed as he cut off the connecting strand with his sword and set the mass of an organ onto the other's discarded jacket before going back in and setting aside a kidney. Both of them. While Japan searched around, Germany reached over to some sharpened sticks he seemed to have gathered earlier and penetrated the sharp end through each organ that Japan had laid out. With a saddened sigh, he set the organ kebabs on a range on the fire so that it could get cooked, which I didn't know how that was even possible. Once more, after a seemingly long period of time, Germany pulled the now-cooked liver from the fire while handing Japan, who accepted it, with his arms still blood-smeared kidney.
Japan, go away! You're killing me!
Japan murmured, "Itadakimasu," and both took a large bite from it. God, it still makes me feel weird, well, when I think about seeing that scene, but that lightheadedness faded as I heard something that made me gasp.
I'm alive? Huh? I'm alive?
The both of them turned in shock. The camera panned over to where Italy was still awake. What? I mean, how was he awake? They drowned him, or was he just unconscious?
Nations are immortal, you fools!
Hell, I wasn't even sure what was going on, and
Nations
it seemed like the
don't
other two
die
had no
that
idea
easily.
either. Germany and Japan tried to explain themselves, but Italy began to grow more panicked, slowly getting what was happening, and began to scream in pain, in fear, in sadness. I couldn't even pinpoint what emotion was there, but it was so weird to hear him like that. It almost sounded like the man voicing him was in a large amount of pain himself. Germany and Japan went over to him, trying to get him to be quiet. Though after the large confusion of everyone yelling at once, Germany was the one to finally scream for everyone to be quiet. Shaking Italy, trying to make him quiet, resulting in just tugging the curl to make him stop momentarily. And at this point, when I should have laughed, I was just practically at the point of tears. Germany tried to appear strong and tried to explain their situation, and my guess of the situation was there was no food left, so they were going to eat Italy since he was the weakest. This was a nation, right? I mean, they're all nations. Why do they have to resort to that? I mean, is that why Italy woke up? Soon enough, Italy gave an understanding nod.
Why would I give an understanding nod? You're gonna eat me!
Fear as well.
You're going to eat me!
Sputtered out something, pausing at a point to cough.
You're going to eat me! I'm not going to
Blood
understand
drooling
that!
down his chin, and
No!
now it was Japan's turn to talk, seeming to try to comfort him in a soothing tone. And after
Can't
his
comfort someone
small
while you're
speech,
killing
Italy
them.
nod once more before looking down, seeing that Germany was gripping his hand tightly.
I don't remember this happening. This never happened.
With another nod from the German and Japanese nation, Japan went back over and scooped his hand into his now somewhat functioning body, pulling and cutting out his spleen and his setting it aside. Italy almost screamed, reduced to a sort of mixture of whimpering and sobbing, and the camera cut to a view of his and Germany's hands becoming more constricted against each other. Shot panned over to the frowning Germany, who once glared to Japan before speaking again and calling Italy's attention. He spoke for a bit, trying to smile, and soon Italy smiled back at him. For once in the series, actually opening his eyes to reveal their golden honey color. And called him the familiar word he used to call him. Captain. Then there was a time skip of sorts, a large portion of organs lying on Italy's jacket. Things I could recognize being intestines, pancreas, bladders, practically everything but the brain, lungs, and heart. Japan wiped an arm to his forehead, smearing it with blood accidentally before impaling them on sticks and sticking near the fire. He turned back to Germany, who was still holding Italy's hand. He crawled over to get a closer look. Italy seemed to have passed on again, his eyes lightly glistening and staring blankly upwards with a smile. He said, this was the shot that was shown on the menu. Japan looked over to Germany, seeing that he was frowning, blue eyes glistening with tears. She just tried to get over having this happen to him. Japan set a hand on his shoulder, murmuring something seemingly comforting, making Germany nod in agreement and sigh, shaky. Japan frowned lightly at this before he moved aside, grabbing the dead Italy's free hand and squeezing it lightly, saying something to Germany before looking to the fire where the organs were roasting. And Germany glanced back to the fire for a moment before looking up to the sky where Italy was staring. And the camera panned upwards to it, past the stars and everything until it was completely black. And then the next episode started playing, just like that. No credits, no anything. Just left the episode on a cryptic or optimistic note. I have no idea. I wish I could have it run on my computer to get screenshots, but the disc refuses to play on here for some reason. Though my friend Fia was kind enough to get 2 screenshots for me. The disc only worked on her computer for so long, and I don't really have a good camera to snap a clear picture. But I'd rather not have to just look at that again. It may not sound as bad when you hear this, but that made me get away from Hetalia for a while, honestly. I mean, I'm not as weak in the stomach as my sister. I still love the series. I'll still continue to love it, but since then, I refuse to watch any anime episodes. I prefer to see fan-made gore. Or official gore.
See gore anyway. I think I'm just gonna lay down and cry my eyes out now. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Hetalia Reacts, and I'll see you next time. I want to go.